day, folks. This is Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Just coming to you today, talk a little bit about some of our silvopasture that we've implemented here. And one of the things that we've done is we've come in here and cleared a bunch of trees out. And by doing that, we opened up the canopy, and now what was basically dry oak leaves underneath our feet here, we've got grass. You also get a lot of sprouts coming back when you open up a canopy like this. And the cattle will eat some of the sprouts, but the sheep, the sheep are putting a lot of pressure on. This is an invasive here. This is called the autumn olive, and the sheep are really working it over. This sprout's having a pretty hard life. One thing that helps us get better utilization, you can see, I mean, they've worked all these over. One of the things that makes it better feed is keeping it short. So about every 2 to 3 years, you need to come in here. This thing's not going to die. It's going to keep coming back. And it'll get tall, kind of like those down there, which are on the other side of the fence where the sheep can't get to them. Once they get that tall, the sheep can't reach them, of course. But if you keep it chopped off and let it come back, we call it coppicing. The plants just send out more and more sprouts, and you have more and more cattle feed. So, you know, there's not a leaf on there hardly that hasn't been nipped on. And the sheep are getting a lot of good nutrition out of this. And you can see they don't just eat the leaves, they eat the stalk. They're trimming off the actual limbs. There's pretty good feed on them limbs. It is a softwood tree. It's easy to snap off. If you don't have a brush hog, you can come in here with just a weed whacker that's got a brush blade on it. We used to do that too. I mean, we just go through here and just chop these things off and let them come back vegetating. So what we're doing is we're using an invasive species to grow lamb, and it's also fixing a lot of sugars in the soil because of the roots. So the roots are dying back each time you clip this off. It's putting a lot of root exudates into the soil bank, soil food bank, you might say. And we're healing the land with it. The sheep are behind us. You can see the dogs in here. We've got quite a few dogs back here now. I think we're seven guardian dogs, and we've got the puppies, which are hid out. We still haven't found those. She moved them on us, but we're going to find them. I think they're 6 weeks old now, so they're big enough that they're going to start yelping a little bit. We'll probably hear them playful fighting, and maybe we can get them located. With the sheep, when we brought them into this strip, it's a fairly narrow strip that goes the full length of this farm, and we just split it in two in quadrants, and we started at the water, and we just started moving back away from the water. And it's worked really well for us. The tighter you can put your sheep in and leave them for short periods of time, the more pressure you get on this. And it seems like every single autumn olive tree in here, it's been chewed on. I mean, they've worked it over. I don't see any of the ironweed in here, and that's because they've ate it all. Here's another one. This one is called aster. They've kind of nipped the ends on the aster. The cattle eat this one too. It's pretty, well, the bricks on it. We've measured the bricks in the aster, which is the sugar content. It's pretty high. So that's a weed. Is it? Yeah, we call them forbs if an animal will eat that. So, yeah, it's been good. We've taken a piece of ground here that wasn't producing any kind of forage at all, and now it's producing food for our animals. And then we're able to harvest those animals in the form of either selling them as seed stock or grass-fed beef or grass-fed lamb. So to me, that's what it's about, is using unproductive land and turning it into an asset that you can actually make a living from. So, yeah.
So how come we haven't thought about letting them get on the other side of that fence of those woods? Because there's a lot of autumn olive and things like that in there.
Yeah, that's a good question, Jan. To get them on the other side of that fence, there's no fence behind that fence. So it's just basically 80 acres of unimproved timber back there. So if we let them in there, Oh, and on the other side of that 80 acres, there's another probably 300 or 400 acres that's not fenced on the neighbors. So we can't control them. They won't stay on the farm. People have asked us, why don't we move that fence back? And we might. I mean, we've got a long lease on this farm, and that's something we may do in the future, is actually go in and make some more of this. Because folks, this looked like that when we started. So we could go in there and just keep working our way down this ridge, and it may be something we do. You know, it'd be a good winter project. When it's 95 degrees out and the humidity's 100%, you don't want to be out here running a chainsaw. I mean, it's hot, it's hard, sweaty work, and it's a great job to be doing like late in the fall, maybe winter time. So,
And what about water?
well, there is no water down there, so they'll have to come back to the pond.
Or we think about putting in a pond?
Yeah, we thought about putting in a pond. There's actually a little mud hole that's all, I don't know, it's filled in. It's right on the other side of that fence right there. And with our good operator, Johnny Carter, Johnny can go in there probably in, well, one day if he had his high lift, and he could dig this pond out. It's not very big, but we don't need a huge pond for water. All we need is just, you know, something maybe 10 foot deep and, you know, maybe 30 feet across. We're not,
But how much would that be to here in Boone County?
well, it's $150 an hour, so you're looking at, just say if you could dig it in 10 hours, do the math. You know, 10 hours, that'd be $1,500 at $150 an hour. Having a water source, what that does open up a more bigger area to you on your grazing management.
Because right now, where do they get the livestock have to go get their water?
Yeah, right there where the sheep are right now.
Yeah.
Just over that hill. We do have a gravity system in over there. It's a siphon. It's coming over the top of the dam. It's hooked onto a tank. It's a 3/4 inch line. It works pretty well. What doesn't work well is in the wintertime, of course, because the pipe is coming up over the dam. You've got to get this farm grazed off fairly early in the winter, because we don't have water on this farm.
So it's something, it's called planning ahead.
Absolutely. You got to put it in your plan. And so when we come into this farm in the wintertime, this would be the first one that we go in and take it all. We go across it, we graze it pretty tight. We remove the stockpile for a day, then we might unroll some hay in some of the savanna area here, just to kind of get the composition changed in the soil.
Yeah, so how did we change the composition of this farm?
Well, when you take an area like this, where it was 100% woods, I can remember Jacob and I, Jacob was one of our interns that year, and Jacob and I actually took chainsaws and we had to crawl. We had to crawl through here. That's how thick it was. And I could see him, and he could kind of see me part of the time. We were meeting in the middle. He was cutting on this end, I was cutting on that end. And the brush was so thick that when we cut it, it wouldn't fall over. It just stood there. And so that's a fungal environment, 100% fungal. And so once we got all the brush pushed down there, complements of the grapples.
Now fungal is?
Fungal's woodies, multiflorous bushes, thorn, any kind of tree.
Okay, and
mushrooms. Got to have fungi soil for mushrooms. Bacteria is more pointed toward pasture, but
and that's in the soil.
That's in the soil. To have a really good balanced pasture soil, according to some of the experts, is you want 50% bacteria, 50% fungi in your soil. And if you till your soil, if it's been tilled in the past, it kills all the fungi. Because the fungi is a very complex organism. It's got all these fingers on it. And when you till, you chew it up, you kill it. Bacteria, it comes from, we can bring it, so we bring a bacterial source down in, which is hay, and we unroll the hay in here, and that's followed by the cows bringing in manure, urine, trampling a lot of that on the ground. And so now we've taken a 100% fungal dominated area, and now we've got some bacteria growing in here, and that's why the grass appears. There's still fungi in here. I mean, that's why all these trees, I mean, you look around, there's just all kinds of little sprouts in here. That's because there's still a lot of fungi in here. I think that's a pretty balanced system. So you got small trees. If the trees get too tall and the animals can't eat them, we knock them back. And it's a food source. That's what it is. You got to kind of change your idea about what's, you're looking at tame pasture across the road over there. It's just beautiful. It's orchard grass and big blue stem. And there is some autumn olive out there, some great big ones, but it doesn't look like this because this was timber. Now there's stumps all over this, but you can't find the stumps. But if you come in with a tractor and you mow too short, you will find them. You'll find them right quick. So if you clear an area like this, you better raise your blades up at least 8 inches. If you don't, you're going to tear something up because that brush hog it's hauling, and when it hits one of them stumps, don't ask me how I know that, but it is quite expensive when you hit one. I don't ever want to hit another one. We have taken all the logs out of here. That's what those are. Those are cedar logs. So we lease the farm and we clear the cedars off. That's one of the agreements, is we do get the cedar logs for the clearing the brush, and those will be milled up. So by sawing up the cedar logs off of silvopasture areas, even some white oak, we get a little bit of white oak and some black oak. Not much walnut because we leave the walnuts. But just sawing that up, it pays for your labor and your expensive fuel, breakdowns, repairs, whatever. That lumber will go a long ways toward paying for some of that. It is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but we took this area here, and if you just burn this in your mind right here, all the way through here, this goes all the way around the whole farm like this.
So about how wide is that?
It's probably 100 yards wide.
Okay.
It's what we call a transition zone. Out of the big timber, the silvopasture goes into this transition zone. So when you come in here early in the morning, there's no livestock in here. You're going to see deer in here. You're going to see turkey in here. And as a hunter, we're really into building transition zones on our properties because that's where the animals like to hang out. That's where the sprouts are. There's not much food down in that deep timber down there. There's some nuts in the fall, but in the rest of the year, without any activity in there as far as cutting a tree down or opening up a canopy for the sunlight to get down to the forest floor, there's no browse in there. There's not anything for the deer to eat. And the turkeys, they need this. This brings in insects. There's clover, there's unbelievable worms now in this soil because of the way we're grazing this farm. We hit it and we get it off. So the sheep were brought on here 6 days ago. We're going to be rotating. We're going to the far end of the farm, and we're going to be bringing them down the other side of the farm on a return trip going out of here. So, yeah.
So how many days is that then?
We're going to be on this farm 16 days. But we've got a really nice piece of ground across the road waiting on us. And in 16 days, it's going to be ready to graze. Oh, and we got an inch rain this morning, which is awesome. So, yeah, we got the cattle moved and the sheep moved, and then it just pounded us. It came down, and we were very fortunate to get done when we did get done. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to cover on the sheep. We're going to be moving them across the road here in about 2 more weeks and just keep making the circle. We've got all our sheep customers coming in to buy the ewe lambs and the ram lambs. We always do that August 29th and 30th every year. And we sell the withers. We got some withers that we're selling. Still have some withers available, by the way. All the ewe lambs are already spoken for. We do have a few ram lambs left. Those are St. Croix parasite-resistant ram lambs that were born in May. We're going to have some more of those still available. So if you're interested, shoot me an email. Go to our website, greenpasturesfarm.net. Fire me an email on those. Set up a time to come and pick some of those up. That's going to be August 29th and 30th. Oh. This, I haven't put up on our website yet, but I need to. We have our brand new hats in now. The red, green, and black are the 3 colors. Those are going to be available on our website, so check that out too. And I think with that, I'm gonna sign off. We'll see y'all down the road. Hit that subscribe button and the like. on the way out. Thank you.